And according to my phone, it's time for the second segment of today's Plane Time 22. Here with Bob Jex. And if you were able to join us for the first segment, awful lot of information shared in that first segment. And the second segment is even going to be more. And the most important thing is that Bob is going to share with you where to go to get this information. And we're going to encourage you all to go there at least once, maybe twice. But you're going to have to go back from time to time to get this information and how to glean it out, because it can affect you. If you're an active airman, it's definitely going to affect you. If you're an airman on the outskirts and you know airmen, it's going to affect them because you're going to share it with them. Word of mouth, still the best form of marketing. Bob, welcome back to the second segment. It's
Thank
like
you,
we
sir.
never left.
Thank you.
But let's tell me, what can you tell me about Runway Safety Action Team?
I want to talk a little bit about the Runway Safety Action Team because of two reasons. Number one is runway incursions, despite all the emphasis that they're getting within the FAA and within general aviation and even commercial airline aviation, despite all the attention that runway safety is getting, we still have runway incursions. We still have near misses. And when it happens, it tends to make the news. We want to stay off those headlines as a general aviation group and as a commercial airline and professional pilot group. Runway incursions are bad news, and we can do a lot to prevent them. One of the things that we do is within the FAASteam, we have a program called the Runway Safety Action Team. This is an ongoing project where towered airports within the district have a public outreach mission, and they form a team of air traffic controllers based at the local airport. And every year, usually at about the same time, they present their runway safety action plan. And they will review the past year in terms of problems, runway incidents, surface vehicle incidents, aircraft incidents that happen in association with operation on that airport's runways. They will also usually present to the public the plan, the management plan on what that airport is going to do to expand and grow and improve safety on its runways. It's not a business meeting. It is not a meeting where they discuss, which businesses are going to start operating at that airfield, unless they impact what the runways are doing. Like, for example, when Amazon came to Lakeland, and now Velo is there at Lakeland. But the Runway Safety Action Team is there to present in a public forum, which means a two-way interchange. They're presenting information and they're taking questions from the public that shows up at these meetings. They present the runway safety action information that the local airport users need to know. The FAASteam helps incentivize these air traffic control meetings with wings credit. We love it when people show up to these meetings. We love to give them wings credit and help them towards the renewal of their most recent flight review. So that's a huge program. We've had them throughout the district all year long. Fiscal 24 is winding down, as you know. Fiscal 24 will come to an end, as every fiscal year does, on the 30th day of September. October 1st is New Year's Day from a federal standpoint. Fiscal 25 will kick in. Our last RSAT meeting for fiscal 24 will be this coming Thursday at Sanford. Public is invited. They can go follow the information that's provided by the Sanford Air Traffic Control people. They're always free to attend. Make your name known on the attendance sheet and you'll get wings credit. Our FAASteam lead rep is Ron Timmermans. The team will lead the efforts up there for getting wings credit for the attendance at the RSAT meetings. Please, if you've never been to an RSAT meeting at your local airfield, please go. You might learn something you didn't know about your own local airport. It's kind of neat to learn something. And I mentioned, and it's easy to miss it the first time I said it, these are towered airports that offer these meetings. You may be operating off a grass strip. You're probably not going to have an RSAT meeting at your grass strip, even at Green Swamp. Although Benji might have a meeting at Green Swamp.
We have our own
Yeah.
individual RSATs up at Green Swamp.
But the towered airports are the ones that appear on our radar screen, and we love to help promote those. So fiscal 25 is coming. I rely on my successors at the Orlando FAASteam for that information. I will put that out and publish it in my monthly newsletter. And I want to put in a plug for this newsletter. If you think you might like to subscribe to my newsletter, I don't track you. I don't market your information to people. All I want is your email address, and I'll be very happy to send you this free newsletter every month when I send it out to everybody else, and you're welcome to have it and use it for your own purposes. One of the things that I do in my newsletter is at the end of it, I put out a long list of resources, online resources that anybody can tap into and find out more detailed information about stories that may have been reported in that issue or stories that weren't reported in that issue, and maybe for future research efforts that they may want to do. I want to give a tip of the hat to Doc Bro, who does the same thing. Dr. Robert Bro out of Orlando also has a library that he makes available to the public for aviation research, especially aviation safety research.
And the charge for this information?
Is exactly the big donut, Ben.
Got it.
It costs you nothing to take
Except
advantage
your time.
of this.
You know, Bob, he misspoke. Bob misspeaks quite a bit. He said all he wants is your email address. You did say that. All he wants
It
is
would help to have your name, but email address
email
is
address,
what I really need.
But what he really wants is your attention. And that's the whole key to this, is getting your attention to at least read the information that he provides to you.
You know, we said at all of our safety seminars and any webinar that wasn't fully fully stacked with attendees, my biggest lament is an empty seat in a safety briefing. That is a huge thing. That means that we've failed one seat at a time to attract an attentive audience. But we do want to reach out and make those audiences who come to us make their time worthwhile.
And and here I'm going to repeat. We've got just a little bit of time, but OB2 is starting to sweat now. I see sweat coming down his forehead. Conversation around the water cooler, and I was just making some copies when I was doing the safety program in Florida and FAASteam. And one of the inspectors came up and says, I see you guys making all these copies and everything. What do you really know? What good are you doing? And I said, well, I'm not wanting any name names or anything, but I said, Regis? I said, we've prevented 124 accidents just this year alone. He thought for a minute, 124? How do you know that? Prove me wrong. Turned around, walked off. That's the last negative comment I got out of it.
How do you measure an accident that doesn't happen? What you can measure is a drop in statistics, a drop in the accident rate. And that is measurable within each FAASteam. In fact, the FAASteam reports on that information on a periodic basis, usually every quarter. They are long reports. They're much too long for the format of this newsletter. But the trends are favorable where the effort is taking place. Runway incursions are a good example. Runway incursions have been the focus of safety outreach efforts for years. And the runway incursion rate is going down, but it still happens. It's like many other things. Where the emphasis occurs, the progress is made. Where the emphasis is taken away, you tend to take steps backwards. And so it's a multifaceted approach all the time. It has to be that way. You can't sell it. You have to motivate people through your example, through what you're offering, perhaps incentives like wings credits, but just basic aeronautical knowledge, which is so important. The Wright brothers said before they flew, they said, it is important, it's possible to fly without motors. They were flying gliders. It's possible to fly without motors, but not without knowledge and skill. We're trying to help provide some of that knowledge. We don't have it all. These are select updates that we offer. We don't cover everything, but we're sure trying to cover a lot of what we think is important to our readers.
And you are. And the next thing I want to know about is, are there any air shows in our area?
My goodness. Let me think for a minute. Oh, yes, there are. Okay. We have so many air shows in Florida. In fact, Florida leads the rest of the country on the air show calendar. The weather is nicest earliest in the year in Florida. Later on in the summer, when the weather gets too hot and the density altitude gets too high, the air show industry moves north. And so they're covering, Oshkosh, they're covering up, in the northern states and the central states. But Florida leads everybody off. We like to track what's going on in the air show business within the state of Florida in particular, in general, and the Orlando FAASTO in particular. So one of the things that we have coming up in the Orlando FAASTO is up in Daytona, October 15th to 17th. We have the National Association of Flight Instructors, a nonprofit organization that helps promote the flight instructor profession. They're having their second annual safety summit. Last year they had it at Lakeland. This year, October 15th to 17th, they're having it up at Embry-Riddle, on the campus at Embry-Riddle in Daytona Beach. A lot of cool things are getting ready to happen over a 3-day period. You do not have to be a member of NAFI to attend the NAFI Safety Summit, but you do have to pony up. It is a wonderful opportunity for people to see what is going on, the latest information, specifically in the flight instructor profession. I hope to be able to attend.
I'm sure you will. And TFRs, and we're going to get into our thrust as we wind down.
It's an absolute nightmare trying to keep up with temporary flight restrictions. One of the things I publish in the newsletter each and every month is the link to the FAA website where the current TFRs are published. I'll provide a snapshot of the TFRs that are current at the time of the editing of the newsletter. This is the current snapshot, but even now I know that the top line it has gone away. That has been replaced by new TFRs representing SpaceX and their rocket launches and all that stuff coming up in the days ahead. So rather than key in and memorize what's on this particular screen for TFRs, go to the website that's provided in the link. That will help set you up for success. We want you to have the information and stay on the right side of the regulations. So TFRs, very important part, but check it out online. They can and do change, as do the RSAT meetings themselves. We talked about that just a minute ago. Yeah. RSAT meetings can and do change, and so you got to stay current with the latest information.
Bob, how do these guys get your newsletter?
Real easy. Please send me an email at bob.jex, we'll show this at the end, bob.jex@yahoo.com. I used to give out my FAA address.
It's hard to fight that.
That was then. This is now. Bob Jex, private citizen, bob.jex@yahoo. Send me an email and say, hey, I'm Joe Schmalz. I want to operate safer. I want to subscribe to your monthly regulatory updates newsletter, and I'll be happy to add you to the mailing list. Doesn't cost nothing.
And Bob, the thing that I would like to wind this second segment down with, something we brought up last week at Bob Raskey's retirement party. And that man, if you don't know Bob Raskey, you should. He is the epitome of professionalism, energy, knowledge, personality. It's encapsulated all in one big package called Bob Raskey. But there's many Bob Raskeys out there that we just don't know. There's another Bob Raskey sitting here to my left here. But Bob, share with me the term professionalism. What does that mean?
It's a loaded question, and it doesn't have a simple answer. There's a lot that's been written on professionalism. Even the FAA has a publication, the Aviation Instructor's Handbook, where they address the topic, because many junior flight instructors are entering an important, critical profession and have no experience, nothing to ground their future endeavors on. The FAA publishes a list of attributes for a professional, and I'll go through that real quick, and then I'll give you some Jex-isms on what I think professionalism should consist of. The FAA will say that a professional exhibits better judgment, superior judgment than the people around him. The FAA will tell you that a professional is performing a service, that he's providing some sort of a service to his clients.
Or her.
Or her. the professional will engage in study and preparation, getting ready to deliver that service to their clients. They will be involved in training and research. They will continue to stay on top of their profession by gathering the latest knowledge. My newsletter, frankly, tries to help keep people on the cutting edge of what's happening, but there are many other publications out there. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's one grain of sand on the beach. The FAA will tell you that any professional is expected to have a superior intellect or intellectual ability, a little bit smarter than the average guy, an IQ above 100, if you will. And finally, the FAA will tell you that most professionals have what's called a code of ethics. They have to have a code of ethics to be a member of their profession. That's what the FAA says. What does Bob Jex say about it? I have some shirt sleeves interpretations of that, some, where the rubber meets the road kind of thing. To me, a professional is someone who operates at a higher level in their chosen profession. They are doing it at a more focused, intense level than the average person who may just be a dilettante in that profession. They may be operating as an individual. They may be operating as a member of a team and not necessarily even a leader of the team. They could be just one of the rank and file members of the team, but they can be professionals. Think about it. You have individuals, people like writers, authors, teachers who operate individually in their classrooms. You also have the solo pilot who's flying by himself late at night across a wide body of water, and it's just up to him as to whether or not that aircraft makes it safely from point A to point B. But a professional may be part of a team. Think of an airline crew. You have all the people in that crew, you have football teams, you have baseball teams, they're all professionals, and they operate at a higher level in their chosen profession. A professional, in my opinion, they have skills, techniques, and abilities that others don't have. It is a professional who makes a tough job look easy. When you see an Olympic gymnast do their routine, they make it look so easy, and you know that it's hard. You know that what you're seeing in those few moments on TV represents the culmination of a lifetime of work. That is what professionalism is like for so many people. They work so hard to do the thing that they bring to you at the peak of their game, and that is one of the things that makes a professional what they are. And finally, I believe that a professional is good at separating their emotions, their personal problems, from the mission. The mission is paramount. It's the mission that supersedes how I feel about it, how I feel about myself. Am I sick? Am I tired? How many professional pilots have had to get up for a 3 a.m. simulator session and the alarm clock goes off and they go, man, I don't want to get up for this, but I know I've got to go. How many guys fly all-nighters, for an air carrier of some kind, and they go, I'd rather be sleeping, I'd rather be partying, or I'd rather have a frozen drink with a paper umbrella in my hand on a beach somewhere. And yet they're professionals. They go and they do it anyway. Military professionals, airline professionals, medical professionals, so many teacher professionals. I want to recognize them. There are so many professionals out there, and I don't consider in my definitions, my considerations, I don't consider remuneration, financial remuneration, to be part of what makes a professional a professional. I don't consider recognition by one's peers as what makes a professional a professional. It's an attitude that you choose. It's a philosophy that you choose to embrace on that task. That's what makes you a professional. Whether you get paid for it or not, recognized or not, that's what makes you a professional. That's the way I feel about it.
The size of the W-2 doesn't make you a professional.
No, sir.
Bob, going back again, this is fresh information. Gentleman I have a lot of respect for, his daughter went through pilot training, and she actually is flying F-35s now. And I had the occasion to meet her and spend a little bit of time. Beautiful voice, singer, opera. And I said, what is your next big thing that you'd like to do in aviation? She thought for a minute. She says, well, I've pretty well done it all. I'd love to have my A&P certificate. I says, okay, now you've got my attention. All right, all that other stuff you've done, that's cool and all that. But to be to go up through the ranks, through the National Guard, and to fly the F-35, and now want to be an A&P, the ultimate airman, and I would call that a very, very professional drive, and it's not easy to get these ratings. For those that are watching this, I'm thinking about getting my pilot's license. We encourage you to do that, but we think long and hard, but once you make that dedication, follow through, because the startups and the fallouts, you can address that.
A multifaceted person like the young lady you're talking about, who has so many qualifications, so many broad experiences in so many different professions, a person like that can write their own ticket in life. Mm-hmm. However long they want to work, wherever they want to work, it generally will be an open door to them. And you mentioned that the person's gender is female. With the way things are going these days, the doors are opening more and more in aviation for females. Young ladies out there, if you ever thought you might be interested in aviation, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your future to check out where you might want to be able to, where you might want to go in that profession. Is it piloting? Is it mechanics? Is it something else? Talk to the practitioners of that profession at the level that you see yourself in maybe someday, and ask those people what steps they took along the way. My own wife flew, her name is Terry. She flew in the Air Force Reserve. She flew T-38s. She led 4 ship formations of T-38s. She flew C-141s for 12 years, and she flew C-5s for another 7 years. She flew the biggest stuff that the Air Force has. She was the aircraft commander. And it all started with a conversation that she had with someone who had similar ambitions. Mm-hmm. It followed up with a conversation with some of the practitioners of those professions, and she had to break down a lot of doors, but she got where she wanted to go. Persistence is the thing. Calvin Coolidge had a wonderful quote. I don't have it all memorized, but he talked about persistence as a key to someone's success. You may find a closed door when you first go looking for the thing it is that hits your hot button. That door may be closed. It may even be locked initially. Mm-hmm. Bang on that door. Persist, 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 and the door will eventually open. And I offer that as initial advice to people I don't even know who might be listening today, who might be swayed by some positive influence. And if you want some advice, let's talk. But I think Calvin Coolidge had some wonderful words for people.
And Bob, as wonderful as it is to be the ultimate airman, I mean, your ATP with your A&P, Airframe and Power Plant Mechanic license, there's only one thing that you could do to add to that, to become a meteorologist. That was a plug for Dr. Bartuska, but no kidding, the weather and being and flying, there's a certain amount of your major attention is based on weather. How to learn it, how to read it, how to stay out of it if it's bad, and how to deal with it if you're in it. So I mean, it's just weather is it's just another facet of that. Just fascinates me to death. That's the reason I always listen to what Dr. Bartuska has to say.
You know, and in Florida, we spend half of our time in hurricane season, and Dr. Bartuska has talked about hurricane avoidance strategies. Today, I think he's going to be talking about a subset of hurricanes that we see on an everyday basis.
And I think he's talking to a new startup pilot is going to be interviewing him. It's a new, he's wanting to get his ratings, and he's working very, very hard. So we wish Ron Timmermans well. But again, Bob, we have so many people that want to be there, and I call them fence hangers. When's the last time you've been and hung on the fence, watching the airplanes come and go? It's a start. And I'd show them a broom. Do you know how to work this? Well, yeah, it's a broom, but do you know how to work it? Well, where are you going with this? I says, well, go out to the hangar and find whoever's running the FBO and ask them if they need anything swept up. That's your first hour of flight training. I mean,
do you remember the movie Waldo Pepper, The Great Waldo Pepper with Robert Redford?
remember the movie?
There's an opening scene, I love this scene, where Robert Redford, he plays a post-World War I barnstorming pilot. He lands in a field somewhere. He offers airplane rides for a couple bucks. And at some point, his Curtiss Jenny is running out of gas. And he sees a little boy, and he recruits the little boy to run gas runs back and forth into town to fill up the gas can. And he promises the boy a ride in the airplane. And near the end of the day, it looks like Robert Redford's going to bail on this kid and fly away. And the little boy has this lost puppy look. And Robert Redford finally melts, and his heart finally melts for the little kid. And he takes this little kid riding for his very first airplane ride, and the kid has such a good time. And I'm thinking, if we could do that for the little boys out there, and little girls too, who are interested in our profession and who don't know anything about it. This is where Bob Raskey is so good at spotting talent in the rough. He's able to, one of the people said, he can be with you right where you are. He gets on your level mentally and helps bring you along to a place you didn't even know you could go. That's one of the things I love about Bob Raskey, our outgoing 2023-24 National Flight Instructor of the Year. Bob Raskey is an amazing guy. I hope I always keep an association with him, but he is going to enjoy his retirement. And I think Karen's going to keep him very busy too.
No doubt. And there's another person I think we're going to keep pretty busy in their retirement, Mr. Jex. Like I said, when you were talking about everybody was spooling up to Bob retiring, and we sure do hate to lose him. Don't worry, we're not losing him. He's just going to come under a different brand. But the time with the FAA, and you're going to mention that we get FAA credit. If you're watching this, you can apply this to your wings.
There is. Yep. We want you to be rewarded in some small way for watching today, and we have wings credit available. If you'll send me an email with the code that's showing on your screen, you'll be able to get wings credit for today's session on regulatory updates. I don't know if you guys have that slide available or not.
I'm sure it'll be up at the end. So we're going to take care of that.
Yep, we'll take care of that. No pre-registration was necessary today. And same thing for Dr. Bartuska's presentation coming up. All we need is an email with the correct code, and we'll give you credit semi-automatically, hopefully within the next day or two.
And you're doing this on behest of the lead rep position of the FAA safety team.
I'll work with one of the local reps, and we'll do that.
That's good, because he says just send me, but this is back when me was FAA.
I'll share that with the local rep, and we'll get that information up.
Good, Bob. Thanks.
It's been a pleasure, Ben. Thank you so much.
We're going to. Then I don't think they got you on the split shot here. Split shot handshake. There we go. Now we got it. Now I'm going to sign off on this camera one, and we're going to look for the Dr. George Bartuska. This man, again, I aspire to become a weather meteorologist. See you later.